Here we go. It says we're live. I say every week I do this. It says we're live, and I have to say out loud, it says we're live. I don't know why I feel compelled. Anyway, welcome everybody. My name is Diane Rose Solomon, and I am the founder of Animal Magic Films. Let's get this goodie up there so you can see it. Thank you for joining us for the 23rd interview in the Science and Magic of the Human-Animal Bond interview series. We will be exploring many of the ways that animals help people and people help animals, because it is a both and conversation where we all benefit from the bond. And I know I've benefited immensely from my relationship with my pets, from a surprise therapy dog visit when I was in the hospital years ago. And I also experienced great joy watching other people heal from their interactions with animals. And I'm also in awe of non-companion animals like wild animals, farm animals, and more. So be sure to like this video, subscribe on YouTube, and please join our Facebook group, The Science and Magic of the Human-Animal Bond. So now we get to hear from you, and today we have a wonderful guest. I'm so excited. People who are making our relationships with our pets, our communities, and our natural environment just a little bit better. So please welcome my guest, the founder of the FamilyDog, Justine Schuurmans. Welcome, Justine. It's so nice to see you.
Oh, nice to see you too, Diane. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. I'm really excited to speak with you today.
Yeah.
So let me tell you a little bit about Justine, and then we are going to chat a little bit. So after having kids of her own, dog trainer Justine Schuurmans soon realized just how tough it is for parents with young children to raise a dog. So she started the FamilyDog, a training company for the whole family. Her mission is to help parents and kids everywhere to better understand their dogs and love living with them. As a former producer, director for Nickelodeon MTV, Justine has blended her love of dogs with her experience in music and kids TV to create many groundbreaking dog infotainment videos for families and dog professionals worldwide. Her fun, creative, and family-friendly techniques have quickly become the trademark of all her online dog training programs. Well, I can attest that your videos are fun and groundbreaking and really fabulous. And I've watched them. I've shared them before. In fact, years ago when I wrote What to Expect When Adopting a Dog, you agreed that we could link everything to your programs, because it's just wonderful, wonderful information. So thank you for doing all that you do.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing.
Oh, my pleasure. And let's share some more.
Yes.
So what inspired you originally to become a dog trainer and then create the FamilyDog?
Oh my goodness. I wanted a dog when I was really young. Like, I think it was the first thing, when I kind of track back, it was the first thing I fell in love with. I didn't want to be married. I didn't want to have kids. I wanted a dog. And my mom and dad didn't let me have one.
Oh.
And yeah, tragic. And I knew I kind of knew intrinsically I always wanted to work with animals. But I went to a school and kind of had an upbringing where kind of working with animals was not really a thing. And then when I got my first dog when I was 29, a real grown up, I was working actually at MTV at that time. And I started training him and I loved it so much. I was like, how can I scam a way into doing this a little bit more often than just in my free time? So he was really the dog that got me like into being just like into training classes. And then he actually had tons and tons of behavioral problems. And working with him through those behavioral problems and dealing with that made me realize just how much I really enjoyed trying to figure out the psychology of dogs and how we can help them and live better with them. So that's how the dog training part started. And then the second part of my journey was that I had children. And so I was teaching regularly then at a dog training school, teaching just basic kind of obedience to all different age dogs and sizes of dogs, but realized that some of the stuff that I was teaching in the dog training school, I wasn't really using at home. But actually I needed a lot of other skills at home to help my kids understand my dog and my dog to understand family life with young children. And so hence the creation of the FamilyDog. That's really how it birthed itself, really, was to help other families. I could see how many people were struggling because their kids weren't allowed into dog training classes, and they were going home and these dogs were living with the kids. So I'm like, someone needs to help.
Yeah, and bridge that gap.
So, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the family, Yeah, I wish that program existed when my kids were little because, our dogs were fine with our kids, but then their friends would come over and it wasn't such a great
Right.
experience with
Right.
one of our dogs.
Yep.
And we worked it out and we figured out how to work around it, but it was really tough for a while. So
Yeah. It can be tough for the dog because they give a lot of license often to the kids in their own family, but not
mhm,
so much license to new kids. And then on
mhm.
the flip side of that, kids learn how to behave around their own dog. So they might get a little bit too smushy and cuddly and huggy and kissy, and their own dog might take it. But if they go to a play date at somebody else's house and they do that to another dog, then the dog obviously won't receive it so well. And then it can become dangerous for the kid. So
Yeah,
that's really important. That muscle memory of how to interact with dogs when kids are very young is really, really important.
yeah, yeah. So it's not just this is okay behavior with our own dog.
Yeah.
This is okay, but it's not okay
It's
with all other dogs.
okay, but it's not really okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Does that
yeah,
make sense?
yeah. It's not globally okay.
It's not globally okay. So you don't really want to be practicing something at home that is actually not going to translate to outside
Got it.
and get you in
Got it.
trouble.
So it's really a teaching moment. It's really an opportunity to
Totally.
say, yeah, this is
Yeah.
I see why you want to snuggle like that, but it's not safe for you and the dog, and especially since we don't
Yes.
want to be doing that with other dogs.
Yeah. And for
That
a lot
makes
of
sense.
dogs, to be fair, a lot of dogs, I don't like to always generalize, but it's easier in this situation with young children. Say a lot of dogs do not like face to face kind of greetings. It's very awkward for them. They don't like to be picked up. They don't like to be kissed on the face or touched right on the face. So I always teach kids to do this thing called pat, pet, pause. So like patting your leg and inviting the dog over to you rather than going into their space. That's
Hmm.
the pat part. Petting on the dog's body, but with one hand, not two, because when two hands are involved, like look at my crazy band-aid. I cut my finger this morning. I've got like
Oh
an
no.
insect band-aid on it. I don't know how I picked up the wrong band-aids. Anyway, so so petting with two hands can feel quite grabby and trapping
Interesting.
for a dog, right? So it's one hand and then on the body rather than on the head. And then the third part, the pause, is to just wait for a couple of seconds. So pet for a couple of seconds and then pause and see what the dog does. Do they really enjoy it? Do they want more? Do they say, come on, give me a little bit, I really like that, give me a little bit more? Or do they just turn around and walk away and they're done? And if they're done, then we teach the kids they're done, just let
Yeah.
them be. They'll come, give them another opportunity in half an hour or whatever and invite them back in again. But that's a really safe way for kids to interact with their own dogs and then dogs outside in the park, at friends' houses, grandma's house, whatever.
Wow, this is such a bonus. I didn't expect that we were going to even get a little bit of training tidbits on here. So this is
I
even
can't stop myself.
no,
Sorry.
this is great. This is such a bonus for everybody listening. This is wonderful. So tell me, or tell all of us really, about the different kind of programs that you offer. I know that you have some for families, and then you also have some for professional trainers and other professionals. Can you tell us about them?
Yeah, that kind of turned out to be a little bit of an accident because originally, as I say, I was trying to work with families, and then I got really, really busy working in my own town and with a lot of the families in the schools that my kids went to, and so I created an online training program just to help the families that I couldn't work with. I didn't have enough, bandwidth to be able to see them all, and then when that program was launched, professionals were buying it, not just
Mhm.
families. So I was like, oh, I think that other trainers probably could use my help.
Mhm.
And so I created a bunch of programs for those trainers to help them do dog safety talks in schools. There's another 6-week program where they can just walk into a family's house and they have a full curriculum of how to work with that family.
Wow.
And there's a summer camp program, which I absolutely love, that could be taught as a summer camp or as like weekly classes, just with kids and dogs only, no parents allowed. So that I really, really love that.
Wow, that's so much fun.
Yeah. So fun to watch the growth, not only of the dog, because you think you're there training the dog, but watching the kids grow. My gosh, it's like my Grinchy heart just grew like 20,000 times watching that happen. It's so
Oh,
nice.
that's so beautiful. And is
Yeah.
the summer camp program a live program that you offer locally, or that's something that you've created as a video as well?
It's live. It's in person. It's an
Okay.
in-person camp. Yeah. Although when COVID struck, a lot of the trainers that have that program that teach it, they
Mhm.
were teaching it online because we didn't really have
Oh, I
any
see.
kind
So it
of
was a
like
program that you created for the other professionals
for
to
trainers to teach.
create a camp. I gotcha.
Exactly,
No,
exactly.
no, I'm a little slow today, but
No, it's
I'm
my
figuring it
business
out.
is tricky because there's a lot of elements to it as
Yeah.
well. And so yeah, so basically I have my families and then I've got my dog trainers, and then just in case that wasn't enough, I've added a third arm to it for all of the people that work with dogs that can realize that families really need help, but
Mhm.
they either don't have the bandwidth to work with them, they don't have the knowledge to work with them, they're not trainers, or they, no, maybe that's it, just two. Maybe there's just two. I was trying to make a third out of that, but I think there's just two. So
Okay.
I've got this program called Team TFD, so Team the Family Dog, where you can actually refer families
Mhm.
to my family program, and then you earn a little thank you, a little commission for
Oh,
passing that
good.
along, just to try and spread the word to people so that they know that there's families need specific training. Just training the
Absolutely.
dog is not going to be enough for them. They really, parents need to know what they're teaching, and kids need to know what to learn as well, and it's not usually taught in a dog training class. So my goal is to try to just spread the word and get that help to everybody who needs it.
So good. I love it. I love it. I mean, I just think back to, our dogs are older and we haven't been to training in a long time, but I just think back to how amazing training class was in general, and how important it is. In fact, the second
Yeah,
children's book that I wrote was JJ Goes to Puppy Class, because
yeah,
you have this new dog in your house. How important is it to train this dog so
mhm.
that they become a successful part of your family? But
Yes,
I remember how great it was, because if they were doing some behavior at home or out in public, you could you'd be there with the trainer who could help nip it in the bud, right?
hmm,
And also it was an opportunity for socialization. But the kids, as you said, for the most part, aren't allowed to come to that. So
right,
they're not getting, older kids, yes, but little kids, no.
yeah,
So they don't get the benefit of being around the other dogs, or even learning how to work with your dog the way
yes,
you're being taught in the moment. And then
exactly.
you as a layperson have to go back and translate it. That's tough.
Yeah,
So
exactly. And I think we spend a lot of time. This is like really become super evident to me in the last couple of years, that we spend so much time trying to change and mold and shape the dog,
mhm,
but we spend very little time ourselves in molding and shaping and training ourselves. And if we
mhm,
think about it, the dog didn't actually really choose to live in our house. We
yeah,
chose the dog. We chose
correct.
the idea that we wanted a dog, and then we picked that particular dog to come and live in our house. So I love to see this as a relationship rather than just a top down, I tell you what to do and you do it. That it needs to be a two-way conversation, that we spend as much time asking the dog to do things to help them to fit into our world as listening to them and say, what do you really need to be able to succeed in our world?
Well, and that's so brilliant. And it goes back to the very first thing that you taught us just 5 minutes ago about how children can invite a dog. And this goes for adults too, because
Yep.
adults, and I'm guilty of this too. I'm a dog lover. All dogs love me, and I'll get in a dog space, and
Mm-hmm.
usually I'm like, okay, that dog is not loving on me right now, and I'll back off.
Right.
But my first instinct is to go love on every dog and
Yep.
get in their space, as
Yep.
opposed to inviting them. And so this
Yep.
is really, really good information.
If you think about that old uncle that would just like come into your house and hug you and be like, oh,
Yeah.
you can actually see it on the expression that the dog is giving you. Sometimes it's super clear. This is one of the other things that I love to teach in my programs, is all about dog body language,
Hmm.
because I think I can say 99.9% of the population that has a dog loves that dog and would do anything for that dog, right? But sometimes we don't take the time to look at what they're actually telling us about specific things.
Hmm.
Even as a dog trainer, I wasn't taught to read body language until probably 2 or 3 years in. I mean, that's madness to me. It's the number one thing I want all of my families to learn. Look at what your dog's saying. Do they like that toy? Do they like that other dog? Do they actually want to say hi to the person that's walking down the street? And if they say no, then let's not make them do that. Because if you push them into a situation that they're doing something that they're not comfortable, then you might not like the response.
Right. And it could get dangerous. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And also you just want them to be happy. Like if you had a
Yeah.
kid that loves playing piano and hates playing soccer, if you force them to play soccer and they really wanted to play piano all the time, then you end up with a kid who's not really that happy. And that will start leaking out the sides, right? We know that as humans, we love to do the
Yeah.
things we connect with. So I love to try and find ways that we can find things that dogs love to do and give them those outlets. So they're like, oh, I'm living my best life. I can do what, then they have the best shot of being a really nice companion for you.
That's great. But it's really about listening to them. It's really about being tuned in. And it takes time. It takes time, and so I think, and I'm sure as I'm thinking about this, while it's taking time for you to learn your dog, it's better to err on the side of caution and do the inviting rather than getting in their face.
Yes. Especially if you have a new dog, especially if you've adopted a dog, like those dogs need some time to decompress and they need space and they need patience and love and kindness. And all of those things. And it actually, when you start to really look at your dog and appreciate them for who they are, and I'm talking from experience, because I have a dog that's sleeping down here. You can't see him right now, but he's 12 pounds. He's small. He's like a half terrier, half toy mix. And I've had him for 5 years. And for the first 2, I loved him and he drove me absolutely bananas. Like he's so naughty. He makes me look terrible as a trainer. Like he's so humbling. But so that we were like butting heads because I wanted him to be like a spaniel, because that's what I was, used to having, a dog that wanted to work with me and do what I asked them to do and all of those kind of things. And he was like, no, that's not how I roll. That's just not what I'm going to do. I want to do my own thing and we're going to fight. So anyway, when I started to accept him for who he was, that he was very strong-willed, he loved to dig, he loves to go down holes, he loves to chase squirrels, and he's very tenacious, he's very bold. Once I accepted him for who he was, I can love him so much more and enjoy my time with him. And we kind of swim together like this now, rather than us just doing this all the time. So if anyone's listening that has a dog that's driving them a little bit nutty, maybe flip the switch a little bit and say, look, what makes this dog tick? What is this dog really about? And once you see that, again, your heart starts to like really swell. You're like, he's kind of cool. He's got such a huge work ethic. He'll chase a squirrel all day if I gave him the chance. He's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. He doesn't give up. He's really strong-willed, and that can be really annoying. Or I could look at it and be like, that's really awesome.
That is so cool. And I have 2 thoughts about that as you're speaking this. The first is pertaining to dogs that, and there's also so many different fun things you could do with dogs once you realize what they like to do or don't like to do, like if you wanted your dog to be a Frisbee dog, but your dog really wanted to be a dock diving dog, then, maybe we rethink what we were going to do before,
Exactly.
But,
exactly.
or, you don't have to do anything special with your dog, but just, knowing what they like and don't like. And it also, goes back to if you have kids too, like we expect our children to be, one way or our friends, really anybody, but to be able to just accept people who they are. And so it's a good lesson. These dogs teach us so much about ourselves.
100%. You're completely right. It's spot on for kids and for dogs. If we go in with expectations of what we want that kid to be or that dog to be, invariably our expectations probably going to be disappointment, right? Like there's going to end in some kind of disappointment. I'm sorry, I don't know how to turn that bing off.
Don't worry about it. It's not a problem.
So I like to kind of like keep the expectations really realistic and try and lose the expectations and just think about, how can we help this dog cope and be successful? The same way, how can we help our kids be successful in their life? And enjoy it, let them do what feels natural to them and what they really, really want to do. And then it's much easier for everybody.
So true. It's so true. It took me a little while with my kids to figure that out, but
Totally. Totally. It's like this is the time of your life where you think, oh, I could actually have another kid because I'd be so much better. And then you're like, no, actually I don't want another kid, but I would be so much better as a parent.
So much better. I know. Yeah. But again, it really applies to our dogs too. I mean, it's so important to be thinking that way. So it's great. So Justine, one of your programs is new. You just launched it recently. Which program is that?
Um, Actually, I don't know that I've launched a new program, but my affiliate program, Team TFD, is my newest thing
Okay.
that I have been working on, because I realized that while um, I have this great information for families, I'm just one person. So if
Right.
I can get more people to share the word and let families know that there is something that's specifically for them and not just a generic sort of like not cookie cutter dog training, but the dog training, because it's not cookie cutter. And all my friends that work with dogs, it's not cookie cutter at all. I misspoke. It's focusing on the dog.
Mm-hmm.
My training is focusing on the family
Mm-hmm.
living with the dog as
Mm-hmm.
well, and the kind of things that a family dog might need. But I can't get that word out by myself. I really need to have, other people help me share the magic with everybody. So that's the latest thing that I've been working on.
Great. And for that, you offer a discount? Is that the program that you
Yeah,
offer?
well, my for your viewers, I would like to offer 20% off of all of my programs, whether you're
Wow.
a family and you would like um, to do my family training program, which is called Peace, Love, Kids and Dogs,
I love it.
or any of my pro programs at the moment. And if you are just a dog professional that would like to share the message, I've got 3 levels of my affiliate program, and you come in at bronze, but I'd like to upgrade your viewers to the silver level.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. We will
Yeah, no
make
problem.
sure to get any, you'll get me codes at some point in
I
the next
will.
24 hours. So
The
if you
next
don't see it
24 hours.
immediately underneath the interview later on, we will make sure that it gets out to everybody, and
Yeah.
we'll make sure it gets disseminated when we share
Yes.
everything. That's really cool. Thank you. That's really
Perfect.
a lovely gift. I appreciate that.
No problem.
So tell me, what else would you want people to know about your work, or do you have a favorite story you'd like to share?
Do I have a favorite story I'd like to share? Oh my gosh. Let me think now. Um, I think that the most important thing that I would like families to know is that there is help for them. I think that's really the biggest deal, and to take time to really read into your dog's body language. I think if there's something that I really would like people to know, it's that. And actually, if you want, I'll share a link as well to my dog body language video, which is really fun.
Oh, cool.
Having worked in TV, I actually love to make videos about stuff, as you know. And this was like a music video to help people look at their dog in a slightly different way. And I think that would be, if I could pass that along, if people could just see that, I think it might change a lot of minds.
I haven't seen it yet, I don't think so. I can't wait to see it.
Oh, it's called What Your Dog is Desperately Trying to Tell You.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah.
remember the one that I saw a few years ago was Stop the 77.
Yes.
That was your
Yeah.
dog bite prevention program.
Yeah. And that actually, Stop the 77 came from the statistic that 77% of dog bites actually come from the dog in the family or a
Oh,
friend's dog. And so that was a real kind of like
eye
for
opener.
me, that
Hmm.
it's not, these aren't rabid crazy dogs, these are our dogs. So there's something in that chemistry that is, it's our responsibility. We're doing something to cause that, right? They're living in our home, so what are we doing? And so the Stop the 77 video was to try to explain a situation from a dog's perspective and a kid's perspective, and see how different they might look, that there's like 2 sides to every story.
But it was so cute and so much fun, and it's just a great video. And it goes back to, you know, everything that you're still training now. It's like everything that you're teaching now is just like next level.
Yeah.
It's like, well, here's what we know. Let's show the different perspectives, and now let's take it to how can we spread the word of how we can be safer around our own dogs and our friends
Yeah.
and family dogs. Yeah.
Yeah, and what does that look like? In my programs, it gets down to the nitty-gritty of what does that actually look like? What do we need to teach the dog? How do we need to do this ourselves? How do we set up our home to make sure that the dog's successful? How do we set up our kids' minds so
Hmm.
that they know what the ground rules are, so that they can be like an awesome best friend to their dog as well? Because the kids are living with the dog for, 24/7. So it's really important that they're practicing the right kind of behavior to help the dog, make the right choices as well.
So good. So good. So tell me,
Yeah.
Justine, we're going to be sure to share plenty of links to all
Mhm.
your stuff, and you'll send me all the stuff that I need to
Yep.
disseminate. But where can people find more about you and the Family
If they
Dog?
just go to thefamilydog.com, that's where yeah, everything is. That's great that that's up on the screen. So yeah, thefamilydog.com is my website. And when you get onto the website, it's split into two. So it's families or dog professionals. And then when you get into dog professionals, it starts to split up again. So yeah, there's a little something for everybody in there. And there's a lot of free information as well. If you want to find out more, I've got some little free ebooks on there as well that you can take a look at. So there's something for everybody.
No lack of information coming from the Family Dog, Justine.
Just keep making. I'm like a little hamster on a wheel. Just keep making.
But it's great because you enjoy it and you're good at it, and they're engaging, and kind of make me want to become a professional, but it's not going to happen. But
Oh, I think
not
it
happening.
did. Come
Not
on.
happening. Not happening. I got other things to do, but it's enticing. I'll tell you that.
You wrote books. That's where I want to go. I got to write a book at some point.
Write a book.
Yeah,
Write a
I'd
book.
love to. Yeah.
That's great. Well, my dear, this has been such a pleasure. I learned a lot, and I'm sure everybody watching and who is going to watch is going to learn a lot. And then, all the people that will engage with your materials afterward will learn even more. So this is wonderful and exciting. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for allowing me to share it. As I say, for me, the most important thing is that people have access to the right information. And so just being able to have this platform is really, really helpful. Thank you.
Fantastic. My pleasure. So before we go, just a few quick announcements. Let's see. Reminder for anybody who would like to join our community, I invite you to animalmagicfilms.com. We actually have another new short film coming out in a couple of weeks. So you can join our community and you'll learn more about what's coming out. If you are not watching this on the Facebook platform, please come over to Facebook and join our group, The Science and Magic of the Human Animal Bond. And you can subscribe to our YouTube channel, Animal Magic Films. And you are welcome to email me if you have questions, concerns, or ideas for potentially another interview. So we could do something like this. And let's see, let's put you back up here so that we can all remember where to go.
So flashy, Diane. I love your little, this is like being in the TV world again.
I'm producing this.
You are live. You're cutting.
I'm just doing this. Yeah, there we go.
You're doing a great job.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So thanks again, Justine. This has been such a delight. I was been really looking forward to seeing you and reconnecting with you. So this has been a real pleasure for me.
Thanks
again.
Thank
you for the work that you do to bring people and animals together safely and with so much love and heart and all that you do. And thank you to everyone who spent time with us today or who will be spending time on watching this video in the future. We will be back in a couple of weeks with another wonderful interview. So thank you again, Justine. I really appreciate it. Great to see you.
Thanks, you too.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye.